Hello everyone, welcome back to AndroCoder. In today's video, we're going to learn HTML, starting from level 1, which is basic level, all the way up to advanced or pro level. So, if you are a student who doesn't know anything about coding, programming, or development, you will learn things from within this video. How coding is done. What is the importance of HTML in web development? How do we actually use HTML? Your journey to create a website is likely starting here. Along with that, I had divided this video into 4 parts. And after completing all 4 parts, you will become a pro in HTML. Along with programming, whatever code I have written, or any notes I had made, all those things will be available in the description box, which you can use for your revision anytime. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss any of our coding and web project tutorials. Let's jump right in! We need 2 basic things, a mobile and lots of excitement. Whatever you liked, whatever I mentioned in the video, please let me know by commenting below. And if there's anything you think should be covered in future videos, please tell me about that below. Now, many text editors are available for HTML. Within them, there are 2 or 3 ways of text editors. One is the one we can run on our system. Some are paid, some are not. So here, I will tell you about 2 text editors, which is 100% free, out of which the first one is a code, and the second text editor is named Visual Studio Mobile. You can download both from Play Store. But for today's video, I'm going to use Visual Studio Mobile and web code. Now, whenever we need to write program code, we need a code editor. So to write HTML code, we will use Visual Studio Mobile. You can think of a code editor like a notebook, where we write different things inside a notebook. Similarly, when we need to write code, we use a code editor, which comes with a lot of resources and features. Useful things that I get now is the HTML code. Anyway, you might have noticed that you can also write in Notepad. In other words, where text files are created in your mobile using Notepad, you can also create HTML files there and write HTML. However, a code editor will provide us with a lot of external functionalities. Along with that, from the beginning, I will help you to prepare your environment so that if you have to work on projects in the future, whether they are the projects I'm discussing in my videos, or if you want to build something of your own. As you progress, building websites and creating more complex software systems will become easier for you. Because the things that are already seamless and efficient, I will make use of them. So if we talk about the front part of a website, it has 3 parts. Firstly, there's HTML, then CSS, and finally JavaScript. HTML is the part where we create the structure for our website. The structure is about how and where elements like buttons should be placed, or if we need to write a paragraph at the top of our page, where should it be positioned? HTML guides us about these things within the website. When you design your website, its layout will be different. For example, if we look at website like google.com, the search bar should appear here. Here we should have 2 buttons. Below that, we need language options. Above, there should be an image of Google indicating that HTML defines where everything should be. So what HTML does is essentially define a structure or layout. After that, the second component comes in. What does CSS do for the front end? It's like style the layout of HTML. What color will the button be? What shape and size will it have? What will be the button's container color? CSS controls all these aspects. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. These are those parts of code that define how your web page should look, the style of your web page. And then the third component comes in. What does our JavaScript do? It defines functionality. Like when you build a website, you create the buttons inside the containers. Now when you press the button, it will forward you to other page. All this functionality, the logic inside, is handled by JavaScript. I had divided video into 4 parts, which we'll call levels. Level 1, Level 2, Level 3, and Level Pro. After going through Level Pro, you'll almost be familiar with and have learned about the various aspects of HTML that you need to know to create any website. Now let's first talk about Level 1, where we're going to discuss the basics of HTML. There are certain things that all web developers know, and you should know them too. Whenever we talk about HTML, the first thing we discuss is that HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It's a language that defines the markup, structure, and layout of any website's HTML code. That's used to structure web pages and content. If you want to put any content on a website and decide which content should appear at the top and which should appear below, you need to define all of that using HTML. The components used to design the structure of websites are called HTML tags. These are what create the entire design, icons, images, buttons, and more on our website. All these elements are created using HTML tags. Using tags, you can create different types of items in different ways because different tags adjust items differently. Now, what's the first thing you'll do? You'll create your post file within HTML. For that, you'll go to your downloaded Visual Studio Mobile. Now, we'll create a new folder and name it HTML Tutorial. Let's create that and open it. We will create a new file named index.tml in our created folder. Whenever we create an HTML file, it ends with the extension .html. You can also use HTML in L. Now, any website or software has not only the front end, there's also a back end. So naming our file index.tml follows the logic that our back end should start with a home page. Whenever you open a website, its homepage opens first. Just like when you search google.com, the homepage of Google opens for you. After that, you can search anything and navigate to different pages, but this is the home page. Now, how does it detect the home page? Whenever the server is rendering in our browser, it detects the page. The home page is detected using the name index.html, which means home. You create many HTML files for a large website. The server will check which HTML file with the name index.html you have, and by default, that file becomes your home page. If you don't create a file named index.tml within your website, you'll need to explicitly tell the server which file to consider as the home page. The name index.html implies that it's the home page. Programmers always start with an index.html file and treat it as their home page. Inside it, they include all their important elements. Now let's look at your HTML page. You are currently viewing the basic format of HTML. If anyone wants to make a website, then he had to follow this format for his all HTML files. Right now, since I haven't written anything in HTML, our page appears empty. If, for example, I write something here as a sample, don't pay attention to what I've written for now. Just see. Let me write hello world. And as soon as I refresh screen, hello world has been printed on my screen. Now, about this large code that we're seeing, without worrying about it for now, let's first talk about what HTML tags are. Inside HTML, there's a container for web page content. It's like having boxes inside our kitchen where we keep different spices. Sugar in one, salt in another. Those boxes are our containers, which we call HTML tags. HTML tags, containers, first content, or inner HTML. You can even nest these tags, meaning you can have another container inside a container. Similarly, whenever we need to place content on top of our web page, whether it's a button, a paragraph, a heading, we put it inside a container, and we call this container an HTML tag. An HTML tag acts like a container, and within it, you can put various content items like text, buttons, headings, etc. These tags help organize and structure the web page content and presentation in an orderly manner. To understand this, let's take an example of a paragraph. Whenever we want to display a paragraph on a website, we write a statement like this. In this, the first initial thing, meaning the angular brackets and what's inside them, indicates a paragraph. This is the opening tag. This is called the closing tag. Inside the tag, you'll see a slash. Between the angular brackets and after, you have the name of your tag. Inside this tag, what we're writing is P. Now, within these two tags, we'll write content, meaning we'll write an actual paragraph. Inside the paragraph, we can write any line like this is a paragraph. This way, there's some content. And when we consider the whole thing, the opening tag, content, and closing tag, we call it an HTML element. So what is an element inside HTML? An element consists of tags and the content between them. For instance, if we analyze the code, let's save this and see it on the screen. This is a paragraph has been written for us. Now let's analyze our basic HTML page. At the top, we've written doctype HTML. What does this statement mean? This statement means that we're telling our browser which type of document it is. What did browser do? It took the entire HTML code and converted it into this web page. It might not look beautiful right now, but it will gradually become attractive. Here, we've shown a small line. So the browser's job is to render our HTML code. In our web page's form, the doctype HTML tells the browser the type of document we're writing. This type is HTML, and from this type, we understand which version of HTML we're using. In this case, when we write it this way, it means we're using HTML5. After writing the document, we move on to the next thing we see. For us, HTML includes an opening and a closing tag. Again, we see that the opening and closing tags for HTML have come. This tag indicates that this is the root element, because it is the largest element and the most basic element. After that, we'll look inside the HTML. We have tags that tells us things about our HTML document that we don't want to display on the web page, things that only our code should know, and the tag tells us things that actually display on our page. We have some meta information. Meta information is data that's useful, but shouldn't be displayed on our page's surface. For example, we've written viewport here, content is waiting, and this viewport thing basically tells that your website should be responsive, meaning adaptable to different devices. Components shouldn't be too big for somewhere, such things shouldn't be happening. That's why we need to design the website in a way that it looks good on both small and large screens. Nowadays, people mostly access websites on their phones, so websites are designed according to phone specifications. If it's designed for a laptop, then you need to ensure that you're designing the website well for different devices. This is what we call being responsive. How well our website adapts, how good its response is. As soon as we change the screen size, the aspect ratio changes. So, this statement about the viewport is essentially telling that our HTML page should be responsive. These are all the information details. All this work-related information that will not be displayed on our web page will be within the. Here we can give a title to our HTML document, which lets us give it a title like My First Page. Here, when we talk about the title, it's a tag in itself, and after writing the title that we write, it comes before our body. Mostly, in my next videos, I will explaining all the tags within the body. Inside the tag, you're going through all the tags that help render the data. The browser uses the data above, the data written, to show me on the web page. Like we've made a tag here, and inside it, we've written this paragraph. And all those things inside the tag that help render the data, which, when actually displayed on our web page, will be written above our body tag. Next, let's discuss some quick points. In this, the first point is about HTML tags, parent, friend, and body tags. Now here we've seen a tag. This is the part related to the body. Above is the part related to the head and body. The parent tag of these two tags is our HTML tag by default. Most HTML elements have opening and closing tags with content in between. For instance, if we talk about a paragraph, it has some content inside, along with an opening tag and a closing tag. Similarly, we create tags with both opening and closing parts. They're not separate. You just need to write a single thing, which for the next line, we use a tag, and it's the whole tag. A breakline tag is written like this. It doesn't have an opening or closing part, just this is enough. Now let's talk about comments. In HTML, how do we write comments? First, comments come in handy when we need to write a part within the code that we don't want to be part of our code. We want to write something like, this is a body tag. If we write things like this, after saving it, we go to our page. So the body tag has appeared on our screen, but we didn't want it to appear on our screen. You wanted to make sure that only someone who's reading your code, like a friend, a project partner, or someone else, can see a specific part of your code. In such situations, you use comments. Comments are parts of your site that aren't code. The main thing about comments is that they are a part of your file which doesn't get included in the code itself. Normally, we format comments in such a way that you write an angular bracket. Then comes our explanation, marked by hyphens. Finally, another hyphen and a closing angular bracket. This entire part is a comment. Now, if we save, the whole part above our web page won't be displayed. Comments are written in our code, above where we want them to appear. This is my first. HTML code is scored and saved. And when we refresh, the line doesn't display for us because it wasn't meant for the browser. That line is only for developers reading our code. In fact, sometimes for projects, we write a lot of codes. Things can get confusing in that codes. Why was this part here? Why was that element here? And you can do the same thing with a code that's similar to yours. To prevent confusion, we write comments quite often. Comments help us understand the part of code we're reading. Parsing means our browser doesn't render it. Now let's talk about how HTML is case sensitive. Just like in C++, Python, Java, etc., these are all case-sensitive programming languages. Inside these languages, capitalization matters. But within HTML tags, both capital and small letters are treated the same. So, now we've covered quite a few things with HTML. We've understood what a basic tag is, how to write a basic paragraph tag, how to round up our HTML code. Don't forget to subscribe to the Andro Coder channel and turn on those notifications so you can stay up to date with our coding tutorials and exciting web projects. Thank you for joining me today, and until next time, happy coding! That's a wrap for today's video. If you found this information helpful, don't hesitate to give us a thumbs up and leave your comments down below. Share this video with anyone you know who's interested in learning coding on their mobile device. As always, stay curious, keep coding, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care and bye-bye!